is my man Carl Jha, who is awesome. You like that turnaround, that transition? Carl, my man, how you doing, man? You doing okay?
I'm doing great. How are you, Jamar?
I'm doing good. I'm doing all right. Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm not going to complain. I'm glad that you could join me, man. I always appreciate these conversations. I always learn something from you in these conversations. Um, I want to hit two topics, maybe three. One, definitely the trade war. The second one has to do with Taiwanese independence and the Philippines. There is, in fact, let's go to the Philippines first since I have the video up. I might as well ask you about it. This video came out, and in the video, they point out this could lead to a major escalation in the Philippines. Now, I don't exactly know what they're saying, so I'm just going to show the flag that being raised over what they're calling, what is the name of it? It's not a shoal. It'll come to me in a moment. But that little patch of land,
Sandy K. Sandy K.
What is it called?
It's literally called Sandy K. Sandy, okay. like the sand beach. Sandy K. Yeah.
Sandy K.
Sandy K.
Okay.
Reef.
So they have raised the flag over that area, and apparently the Philippines are pissed. Now, will the Philippines end up like Ukraine? It's probably the question that should be asked, right? Because there's no way the Philippines can, in any way imaginable, contest the Chinese.
Well,
what is going on with that?
Well, I mean, after watching Ukraine getting wrecked for 2 years, and Philippines still decides to plunge ahead and be the next proxy, I mean, there's nothing I can say about that. I mean, it takes extraordinary stupidity to follow the example of Ukraine. What we have in the Philippines is we have a group of oligarch families who have been controlling the politics of the countries for forever, pretty much, and before and after the end of American colonization of the Philippines. And right now, before we had Duterte, who for once piloted an independent foreign policy away from the United States, being improving ties with China, getting closer to Russia, but he's been punished for it. Right now, he's sitting in. Yeah. He got extradited. Yeah, right. He got extradited to ICC. Once again, proved that ICC is only for brown people. They're obviously not going to get Netanyahu. It's designed for the jungle, right? To get the brown people, not the white people or Netanyahu, people like that. So, I mean, that was an act of revenge by the United States, basically, to make Duterte an example for anybody who kind of defied U.S. Hegemony. And so now we have Marcos, who has been towing the U.S. lines. Not the least reason is because his daddy's ill-gotten fund, something to the tune of more than $30 billion, is being frozen by United States. If he ever want to see any of that, he will have to be in the good grace of U.S. government. And so here we are. Philippines, China, they used to have a gentleman's agreement back in 2014. That was even before Duterte's term. And we just says, okay, we'll put aside our differences. China will allow the Philippine Navy to continue to supply their half dozen Marines stranded on a reef, provided that they do not bring building material trying to do land reclamation project and try to harden the military bunkers, etc. But, of course, Marco claims he had no prior knowledge of such agreement, and he's being, he's making Philippines a linchpin of U.S. strategy in South China Sea to provoke China, and this is China's response. What China did, that was China's response. So you have first Tony Blinken went over to the Philippines and said, we have an ironclad commitment to the Philippines, including South China Sea. And then you have the latest Trump Secretary of Defense Pete, whatever his name is,
Hexa, yeah.
went to the Philippines, said the exact same thing. We have ironclad commitment to the Philippines. Well, China says, well, okay, let's see what you mean by that. Here is a reef. So here's a reef. We're gonna put our flag on it. And so first of all these islet or natural features in the Philippines, they have been in dispute for over half a century.
Yeah.
The Philippines entered into the dispute around 1950s when a Filipino businessman claimed that he quote unquote discovered the Spratly Islands, and then he actually founded his own republic, and then Philippine government officially tried to buy him out in the 1970s. So that's how this. Whereas China had always claimed these islands, since the Qing dynasty. So this is how the dispute got started. But what's important about that Sandy Cay is it's a natural feature, and it sits just barely above the sea level during the high tide. So that's actually an important point, because when it's a natural feature that sits above the sea level during high tide, according to the United Nations Law Convention of the Sea, the country who controls such a feature are entitled to a special economic zone 200 nautical miles around that feature. So China is like, okay, we are putting our flag here. What are you going to do, United States? You claim you have ironclad commitment. You are goading Philippines on. Let's see what you got. I mean, I don't think U.S. will not do anything besides their rhetoric, because U.S. plan for the Philippines has always been, this is our excuse to pivot back to Asia, to get access to the 9 Filipino bases we already have access to, and to put the Typhoon missile on the Philippines where we can threaten China, because the range of Typhoon missile is such that it covered much of the southern China. And initially they said, oh, we just brought those Typhoon missile here for our joint exercise. We'll take them away after exercise is over. Well, that was last year. Those Typhoon missiles are still there in the Philippines. And so they're not going away anytime soon. And then Filipino government actually said, oh, we actually think about buying them from the US. But just like how the missiles were operated in Ukraine, those missiles are not going to be operated by the Filipinos. They're going to be still operated by US servicemen, except Trump is going to make the Filipinos pay for it, right? He's going to, like, Filipino are literally paying for the privilege of stationing U.S. troops on their soil and hosting U.S. missiles. Whether that's going to blow up into a hot kinetic war, I highly doubt it, especially after the development of the last few weeks. I'm talking about the tariff war, because at this point, I said this on Twitter. It caused a big ruckus. I said, U.S. has neither the balls nor the means to start a hot war with China right now, because it's pretty obvious when China is making everything, including the vital parts that Pentagon needs to keep its military-industrial complex running. How the heck are you going to do a hot